Let, so let me start from a point. Has any one of you seen a 10 episode serial made by Shyam Benegal called Samvidhan, or it is also called Making of Constitution? If you have not, and you are interested in this type of work, you should see that. Why I'm starting from that point? So you want Hindi or English or both or what? Both?
Yes,
Sir,
sir.
both. A mix of both will work.
Mix of both will work. Wonderful. So when you see this serial, it's a textbook thing. The other textbook thing which you should see is Bharat Ek Khoj, or Discovery of India, made by Benegal in 90s. Samvidhan, this 10 episodes will give you an idea of how the Constitution of India was made. You know, there's a lot of debate going on these days all around us. So before you enter into debate, you should know the basic bricks. अगर आप उसको ध्यान से देखेंगे उस सीरियल को, so you know when the constitution was started, they started making the constitution. Any idea?
Probably 3 years back, of like when it was finally
1946. I guess.
December 1946.
Yes.
And Gandhi died on 30th January 1948.
Yes.
And then it was completed by 1948, and then we became a republic in 1950. So if you watch that, and I'm not putting ideas into your head, you watch it independently. But what I felt, and I also checked with the writers of that serial, they also realized that what they were presenting was a history which is a recorded history. So obviously it was not a fiction. Till Gandhi was alive in 1948, which was almost 1.5 years of constitution making, in all debates of policy making, in all the consideration of people, Gandhi was there. He was not a member of Constituent Assembly, but he was there as a shadow. So he was being considered in every decision and policy. But as Gandhi died, and then you see the next 1.5 years, Gandhi was slowly diminishing his presence in constitution. But by that time, a lot of things had been decided, somewhere to be decided. So something changed on 30th January, 17 minutes past 5, 1948, in this country. Us samay ki, if you go and read the American writing, people were writing on Gandhi. The whole world was as if looking on to India for giving a new order of living, a new country, which would have run on different principles altogether. Because even before Indian Revolution happened, and India had its share of violent revolutions also, Russian Revolution had happened in 1917, the French Revolution had happened, the American Revolution had happened, and they were pretty violent struggles. Here, Gandhi chose a different policy altogether, that of a non-violent struggle. No doubt there were people who chose different way. Subhash Chandra Bose was there, who was equally important. Bhagat Singh was there. But none of these events could rise the masses of India. It was Gandhi's thread which was uniting everybody. In between, all these things happened. So everybody removed a brick or two from British Empire. But the wall was shaken and uprooted by masses. And these masses were united by Mahatma Gandhi. He did not choose violent struggle. He brought in the thread of non-violence. And he had his own reasons for it. So the world was looking at India under the tutelage of Gandhi to formulate a new way of living. But India somehow chose a different path. India also got into the same race in which world was running. The same industrialization, the same race, I would call, which is still going on. And now if you cut to 2014, when Narendra Modi became the Prime Minister, I don't know how many of you would have listened the 27th May, his first swearing in ceremony. What he was talking of, and a lot of ideas which have come into India have maybe not in the same frame, but a lot of it has roots in Mahatma Gandhi. Swachh Bharat, Saksham Bharat, the Make in India, the Kaushal Vikas, all these things had a root in a small book which Gandhi wrote in 1909. He was traveling from England to Africa, and with both hands he wrote. He hardly edited that. This book is called Hind Swaraj. It's a must read. India has still not gotten out of the frame of it. There, he was pointing out at the gaps in which India lives. The gap between rich and poor, the gap between educated and uneducated, the lack of sense of self-respect for India, communal problems, and most importantly, dignity of labor. As you all know, Gandhi lived in South Africa. He fought there for the self-respect of not only his, he was thrown out of the train one night from first class. And that day he had an option to run away, but he did not. And he did not only fight for his self-respect, but he fought for the self-respect of all the Indians. And that was a very successful movement. But he didn't bring in that to India. He came here, he met with masses, he talked to people, and then he saw a huge gap between the educated leaders and the poor masses. Huge gaps between rich and poor. Huge gaps between communities, between gender. And these were the gaps in which Gandhi was working all his life to reduce these gaps. And he had a reason for it. When India became independent and the cabinet was being formed, some leaders, you all know, where was Gandhi when the day of Indian independence? Any idea? Where was he? In Delhi?
Kolkata.
Kolkata. He was not even there. And he was telling people not to waste oil and say you should have a controlled celebration. Don't go crazy after. Control your behavior. That's what he was saying. So few leaders went to Gandhi and he said, do you have anything to say when we are starting a new government and all? So Gandhi was not a very superstitious person. He said, I'll give you a talisman. Talisman hota hai tabiz. लोगों ने कहा बापू आप और ताबीज. He said no. He gave them a piece of paper. Apart from other sentences, he wrote, whatever you do, whatever decision you make, please take care that it includes the last man of this country. So Gandhi was never talking about majority and minority, because he was saying 51% can be majority and 49% become a minority. So he was saying, don't divide country like this. Everything should reach the last man. That was the basic principle of his life. Now, how did he choose? Is something which I also discovered. I started a program in around 2009 or 10 called An Hour with the Mahatma. I started with schools actually. I used to take Gandhi's 350 pictures, roll it in the background and engage with audience. And from class 3, 4, it went on to various levels of PhD students and Gandhian groups and all that. So same story from different contexts and different angles. Depending on how mature the audience were, they would ask different questions. A few questions were always there. So after doing this for some years, I thought that Gandhi will not come to answer this, obviously. But we have to find answers. Luckily, Gandhi did not write a philosophy textbook. He could have been easily a philosopher. And he said, please look at my life. My life is my message. But unfortunately, whatever he wrote, even on a postcard or a slip, and he was a very, very fine economist also, believing small is beautiful, don't waste things. All that has been preserved into 100 volumes of, and there are thousands of books, including mine. So when I finished this book, I gave it to some friend. But that's how people think. I was trying to answer all these questions from Gandhi's side of what he was doing and why he was doing it, which I obviously discovered by reading Gandhi, thinking about him, discussing with people who had lived with Gandhi. Some of them are alive, most of them are dead, how they felt about Gandhi. So one of the person said, you have written this as if whatever Gandhi did was right. I said, nowhere in the book I have mentioned this. But because this is a book about Gandhi, and these are the issues which people raised, so what was the logic behind it? And people were talking about Bhagat Singh, they were talking about Bose and Patel, and they were talking about his behavior with Kasturba, this, that, so on and so forth. So anyway, I included all those chapters and backed it up with what Gandhi was doing in his life. And then everybody is free to hate him or not hate him. So people, when they look at Gandhi, there's a fatal mistake. एक फैटल मिस्टेक तो गांधी की लाइफ में ही हो गई थी. गांधी अगर उस वक्त फ्रीडम फाइटर के मूवमेंट में ना आते और ये सब बातें करते तो कुछ स्पिरिचुअल बाबा हो जाते हो, है ना? But unfortunately, Gandhi came, he brought that saintliness to politics and politics to saintliness. So his whole effort went into the wave of politics caught in the freedom struggle. तो उस वक्त गांधी का ये काम took a high wave into freedom struggle, but now it has become a burden for him. Because when people start talking about Gandhi, they start talking about his politics. But politics is a time flowing thing. समय हवा कहते हैं जिसको, आया चला गया. आज एक डिसीजन लिया 1930 में, 50 में नहीं चलेगा वो. 50 में जो लिया वो 81 में नहीं चलेगा. 81 में जो लिया वो 2014 में नहीं चलेगा. This is a big fallacy of taking it back, retro telescoping, and telling people this was right and wrong. So obviously if you ask me what is the gist of all this, one gist I told you, trying to answer these things. And second, there were three things which I realized, three questions which everybody, even if you go to Gandhian Studies Department or seminars, unnecessary they are asking these questions, whether Gandhi is relevant or not. If he is not relevant, we wouldn't be talking about him. We wouldn't be hating him also, right?
Yes.
You don't hate somebody which is not relevant. So Gandhi is maybe relevant or not relevant, he'll come back. He himself, Gandhi has become a thought now. He is no more a person. Is Gandhi impossible? Yeah. Somebody, Fazlul Devji is a writer, he says impossible Indian, but he doesn't call him impossible because Gandhi himself tried it. So it is possible. He may not have become ideal, but he still had something in him. Then what it is? I think what Gopal Krishna Gandhi uses a word for him, his grandson. He uses a word called inconvenient. Gandhi is very inconvenient. Because anything in your life, if you choose and try to get an answer from Gandhi, he will give you an answer which will make you very inconvenient. Because we know in our heart that we are not doing it. So then third question which I asked, that why is he inconvenient? He is inconvenient because we look at Gandhi from very, very narrow lenses. Politics, I told you it will go on and off. His policies, India left it way back. Even if you want to try to apply it, you'll have to modify it a lot. Then which Gandhi we should look at? We should look at a Gandhi who was a man like you and me. He did not have anything special in his head. He was a naughty kid, a very, very shy teenager, a very, very unsure lawyer, and given to huge rage, huge lust. But the Gandhi we know is a Gandhi when he was 50 years of age. And right from his early youth, when he went to England, he started transforming himself. And 24/7 with every lesson where he failed, where he got angry, where he, amidst all this, one thing is sure, he never told a lie. So honesty was the thread over which he built up truth, over which he built up persistence, over which he built up turning loss into opportunity. And the biggest quality he developed was accountability. I think if you ask me what is the basic problem of our country, is that we are not accountable for our acts. Very few of us own what we are doing. We'll always try to find a buck. अरे इसकी वजह से हो गया तो भगवान की वजह से हो गया तो कुंडली की वजह से हो गया तो टीचर की वजह से हो गया तो मम्मी पापा की वजह से हो गया तो उसने रिश्वत खा ली तो इसने खा ली, मैंने कोई गलती नहीं की। जब सारी गलतियों के रास्ते बंद, तब शायद हाँ मैंने भी किया। गांधी उल्टा चलता था। फर्स्ट थिंग मी. Over this he developed the creed of non-violence, and his non-violence was very well found on psychological basis. Arun Pandey is asking me justification about the Gandhiji's experiment with the truth. What experiment? I'll come to it. You specify the experiment. Because his whole book, these days, if people know a little bit of theory and English, they will claim that I know and I can teach people. Gandhi wrote this book when he was 56. And he had experimented with a lot of stuff. So he writes a book, My Experiments with Truth. And he writes in a chapter, what I have done, any child can also do it. Because he wanted to leave a model behind him. So that people can, if they want, they can use it. Even Buddha left a model behind him. Right? So people, when they change, they want to share. And he was sharing it because he wanted, when he came to India from South Africa, Gokhale had told him that you're not going to free India, you're going to change the civilization. His whole idea of life was to revive the Indian civilization, which he did. Because when he traveled India, he saw the masses are so poor. He obviously said that I cannot go and change. I can't give everything to everyone. So I can be like them. And that is when he started leaving his clothes and property, and every property he had left. He was a very successful lawyer in South Africa. He must have been earning some crore of rupees in 1904 and 5. Crore of rupees then. And he left everything at a drop of the hat, came with 70 people without thinking where will they get food and all. Rabindranath Tagore came to his help, and obviously leading to lifelong bond. And then he picked up comrades like Sardar Patel and Nehru, and Bose was also his comrade. Later on, politically, they had differences, but that's all right. Let's look at the human beings. Now, what did he pick up in between? He picked up on a solid basis, this non-violence thing. And every failure, when he got angry, he used to correct himself. Even better, whether it was with Kasturba or with anybody else. And trust me, now people look back and criticize, he was like this with Kasturba. Kasturba never complained. Sardar Patel never complained. People now are complaining on behalf of other people. I mean, it's a big question which I still haven't been able to. Why? They were all living together. Gandhi's thing was never to leave anybody by the side. And when he was saying the last man, it included the man on the top also. Because he was telling people that everybody has a right to live in this country. This is our country. And everybody has a right to, so he stood for autonomy and freedom of mind. And people should have freedom to choose the way they want to live without state's minimal interference. Maybe this would have gotten him into trouble later on had he lived. You never know, he would have got arrested by government. Now, and he had a point. He said, where was his non-violence coming from? I think his core became non-violent by the time he became old. One way of doing was, he developed this huge tendency and trained his mind into what we call empathy. Do you know what empathy is? What?
Sir,
Anybody?
putting yourselves into the shoes of others to feel
Yes,
how they-
yes. So empathy is slightly more complicated. In a given instance, you have to feel the emotion of the other person. You have to be separate from that so that you can look at the solution. So one thing which Gandhi was training continuously, that if I can do a mistake, you can also do it. Or if you do a mistake, I can also do it. So if you both can do a mistake, why would I punish myself? Why would I hate myself? Like normally, if you look at our lives, if a glass falls by my hand, it's an accident. If it falls from my servant's hand, what do we say? अबे गिरा क्यों दिया यार? है ना? हमारी गाड़ी किसी को छू जा रहा, गलती हो गई भाई साहब. दूसरे की साइकिल पे छू जा. Gandhi was training at this subtle level. This is the level where Buddha was working. In that instance of 500 milliseconds. Actually, my second book is called Maya is Reality, where I've written about brain dynamics. All your awareness is in those 500 milliseconds from unconscious to conscious. They were working in this to reduce the misery and suffering. And that is where, so it was very well known and people have testified. I have asked people, some people have told me that it was wherever Gandhi went, everybody felt that he's mine. And Gandhi used to keep doing things for this also. Like learning the local language, trying to speak in that language. This empathy connected him to people. Accountability, truth, honesty. He realized that people cannot follow the truth to the T. So initially he used to say God is truth. But then he changed it to truth is God. And people asked him that you said something 5 years back, now you're saying something else. He said 5 years back I had a different thought process. Now I have grown. So whatever I have said, the recent statement about anything, trust that. The thing was, if people say God is truth, then everybody will fight for their God. They'll say, this is my God, that is my God. But truth can be individual. Each of us can seek truth. And in the process of seeking truth, your God comes. So this thread of unity, both horizontal and vertical, where Gandhi was trying to unite and create a space for everybody to live in together with autonomy and freedom, directed most of his public policy. First was non-violence and the freedom struggle by non-violence. Why? If you remember, in one of the civil disobedience movement, Chauri Chaura happened and Gandhi took back the movement. A lot of people say country tab आजाद हो गई होती. अरे Lord Clive ने जब सिराजुद्दौला को हराया था, and when he was returning, he wrote in his memoir कि हम 300 आदमी थे, 5 लाख आदमी की भीड़ थी, और मैं डर रहा था कि अगर ये एक थप्पड़ भी मारेंगे तो अंग्रेजी साम्राज्य यहीं खत्म हो जाएगा. लेकिन उन 5 लाख लोगों ने 300 को मारा नहीं. हिंद स्वराज में गांधी again writes, why 2000 Britishers are ruling 20 crore people? He realized the meaning of it when he came and traveled India in 1916. And then he goes to BHU, gives a speech where he says India still cannot handle freedom because there are rich people on the stage, poor there. Viceroy is moving in a security, people don't have a security. And you can't even use your national language or your mother tongue. अगर गांधी ने मूवमेंट वापस ले लिया था तो देश में तो मूवमेंट हो गया, तो देश आजाद करा लेते। एक गांधी को किनारे रख देते, मत सुनते गांधी, अपने पापा के नहीं सुनते हैं लोग, हटाओ गांधी हटाओ, कर लेंगे, नहीं हुआ। But Gandhi had a reason for it. The reason was he did not want to endorse violence. And his reason was very simple. He knew the masses are poor. In any spurt of anger, they can do violence. But when the state will hit back, they will not be able to tolerate violence. Plus, he knew Indian psyche by then. We all, after doing violence and anger, we all feel very guilty. So that guilt would have taken us down. He said, postpone it. Then he had another movement, insult movement, Dandi Yatra. Whole country was non-violent by then. 10 years it took him. Everybody was non-violent. And then came 42, which was largely non-violent. By that time, Subhash Bose was also pressing and a lot of things were happening. So everything went together. So it's not that only when people say, oh, Gandhi didn't do this, Bose didn't do it, it's useless. Let's see, they were great people. They were fighting together for this country. And the amount of love which Gandhi and Patel had, which Gandhi and Bose had, we can't imagine. We can't even love our families like this the way they were loving. So when we talk of Gandhi, now we should think about the man and his transformational skill, which are still valid. And if you don't listen now, don't worry. West is looking at it. And they'll send back Gandhi to us then. They'll say, okay, look at Buddha, look at Gandhi. Gandhi, Buddha, they are all ours. We should look at this. Now, when I say all his policies were directed by this, by the last man, by love, by non-violence. So what was he asking? What wrong was he asking that people are very angry with him? He was saying, be honest. He said in 46, finish Congress. Congress has outlived its political utility. Turn it into a Seva Dal. Because congressmen were dealing with money. Money in politics is still a problem. So what was his policy making, which was different from today's policy making? What drives today's policy making? Can you, anybody of you tell me? No right or wrong answer, whatever comes to your head. And who makes them? From the top.
Mostly, I feel it is appeasement so that they stay in power more.
Partly that, partly it's all data driven.
Yes.
Random control trials like they do in medical science. Data. And then somebody from the top will make a policy. Some things they can make that you drive on the left. Still people don't drive on the left. So administrative decisions, it's all right. But there's a major difference the way Gandhi was making, suggesting policies. He had an education policy, which was almost on the backside of his Gram Swaraj thing. And you know what was Gram Swaraj? He was suggesting that have few cities, develop them accordingly, whatever way you want. Empower each village. In this empowerment, give them education in the village. Do not snatch their artisanship. हुनर मत छीनो उनके हाथ से. So if somebody has carpentry running in the family, let him learn that carpentry also. Let him be a BA, MA, PhD, whatever he wants. Each village should be autonomous in its functioning, produce the best things they can, and then have connection with other villages which may be producing something else and then something else. All villages, 7,000 villages will be connected with few nodes of cities. This structure is simply in nature known as honeycomb. Right? मधुमक्खी का छत्ता, इसमें cells होते हैं. Each cell is strong. And honeycomb is one of the strongest structure on earth. This Gram Swaraj thing was essentially in policy making called decentralization. We went on the reverse track. We gave a BA, BSc to everybody. People moved out of the villages, left their father's business and farming and all that, came to the cities. Even if they were pulling a rickshaw, they were all right. And all this led to huge gaps in the city, which finally, why were these gaps important to Gandhi? Because he knew these gaps of what should be and what can be. These gaps are the seed of violence. All this violence you see in the city, in Delhi, in Mumbai, and in a Nirbhaya Kand or wherever, you just pick up the newspaper, you can just go through it, is in these gaps. And these are the people who have moved out of, we have killed our villages. Now we are going back and trying to, they used villages when they wanted panchayat for politics. But our villages were not fully developed. If you go to a Western country, there will be a county which will be fully developed. We could have done that easily. Now we want to go back, and when Modi sir says that we have to go back and find village-based, rural-based thing, but it's a very tough job because people have their all camera face towards the cities now. Everybody is rushing to, they are ready to work in call center, not go back and do their work. That is it. Gram Swaraj, which was a decentralized, and then we centralized everything. Within a state, the capital will have everything, right from art to culture to painting to museum to offices. I mean, I don't know why couldn't they have spread it? What was wrong with it? Why should everything should be in Delhi only? I mean, you can always spread up. They should reduce the geographical pressure also. And back to back with Gram Swaraj was education policy, which he proposed. His education policy was based on what Modi ji calls as Kaushal Vikas. That you learn to work with your hand. He used a word called dignity of labor. I don't know how many of you would have lived in West, but you will go slowly and give. West, I'm not saying if everything is right there, but the behavior in the public sphere is right, because a doctor will have the same respect as a plumber. Your plumber is good in his job. He'll charge his own money. And the plumber may also sit next to you and have the same coffee in the same restaurant where a doctor can. Because work is respected. This is a huge flaw in our country, that we get into this type of stuff that ye bada kaam hai, wo chota kaam hai. And so I'll just answer these questions once it comes to it. Just give me a second. Yeah. So that is, so education thing was training. And then he obviously had economic policy, and he was bothered about this resources. He knew the people are more, resources are less. So he was always training people to use, recycle, and same thing he applied in his behavior with other people. And so when there was this huge, vast expanse of thought, each one of them connected to the other. None of them was going haywire. So this is the background on which I actually wrote this book, and I do my programs also. Somebody asked me what inspires me and how does help in psychiatry. See, one way of doing psychiatry is that I just prescribe medicine and call everybody sick and push it off. Unfortunately, I didn't do it in my beginning. For me, people have people like me, they have problems. Some of them can be handled with medicines. Some need some different alternative window. So it's not only Gandhi. Obviously, I had a background. My maternal side of family was very closely related. But when I studied Gandhi, when we talk, we can talk of Krishna also, we can talk of Prophet also, we can talk of Christ also, we can talk of Buddha also. The moment we start talking about them, everybody says that is mythology. Some people will say that's a mythology. Or you will start talking that this is a God. The problem is that if you say God, you will not follow God. अरे वो तो गॉड है, वो तो भगवान है। गांधी के साथ अच्छी बात क्या है, गांधी इज स्टिल हिस्ट्री। प्लस गांधी की हिस्ट्री अभी हम लोगों को पता है। Gandhi has written everything in his collected works. So the whole transformational process is available to us. Being available is also very important. If we want, we can go back, look, try. These days, people don't listen when I tell them about Gandhi or Gandhi. Probably their minds are so, I don't know, drifted towards other things. But that's all right. It's their choice. I'm not saying learn from Gandhi, learn from anybody. Or better, don't learn from anybody. Devise your own way. My question is very simple. Are you harmonized within yourself? Are you harmonized? Are you doing what Gandhi did? He self-actualized, lived in to his best potential, and in the process mutualized also. He took the world along with me to a better life. Nobody would deny that 30 years of India when Gandhi was alive, that was one of the best periods. There was freedom struggle. But people were still loving each other. They were sacrificing. They were leaving wealth. They were giving it to poor. They were honest. Same people turned into something else is the different ball game. Maybe once they attained freedom, they thought it's all useless. But that happens in the world. That is not a big deal. Even gods, when they come, they have to leave. So, if you're not harmonized, you have to learn from somebody. Either you harmonize yourself, and what is your own happiness if the world around you is sad? So when you do it, you take it. So if you're able to do it without help of Gandhi, wonderful. You can write your own cult, not this cult of. But Gandhi had a very, very practical approach. And because he was concerned genuinely about other people, of course, he was a human being. So my suggestion was look at Gandhi as a human being. He was a man like we are. Man, I don't mean man as a gender, as a human being. He had his own fallacies. He had his own weaknesses, which we all have. We should give that much leeway to him. See what he did good. If it works for you, what? And I think who gets harmed by honesty and truth and loving each other? And is there a harm in it? Why are so many questions on Gandhi? Is there a problem in honesty? Is there a problem in accountability? Or is there a problem in caring about the poor? Or you have to open an NGO to do a good thing for poor. And your NGO needs dollars and money from government. What? What was wrong when he was telling wealthy people to share their wealth in a trusteeship model? That you don't own wealth, be a trustee of it. And old time rich people used to do it. The city where you're sitting, Kanpur, it owns its existence to JK Group. Birlas, Tatas, Bajaj, they did Dharamshala schools. Where were they coming from? These are people who were doing it. Neo-rich don't share. That's a different ball game altogether. Because they don't want to listen to Gandhi. So I think his model for this country, we should have adopted it for 20 years after freedom. Half the ills of this country would have disappeared. Because by justification, by things, people from bottom up would have developed. And then this ill will which pervades this country, that would have diminished. But anyway, all that is done. Modi ji is trying his level best. Why did Gandhi ji want to? Again, I told you, this is the politics. World War II, he was not supporting them. What was the date of World War II? Whoever has asked this, Kumar, what was the date of World War II?
I guess
39 to 40.
And when was Quit India then?
39,
42.
42, sorry.
8th August 42. Obviously, he was
Yes,
not
sir.
supporting Britishers.
No,
You
sir,
know,
but he was of thinking that he should support.
No, he was not thinking. He was thinking like this when he had come down from South Africa in First World War. Because at that time, he was in a different idealistic mode and he said we should not stab on the back. It
Yes.
was, you know who was not supporting Quit India? Communist Party.
Oh. Like then he
Because
was
because of the
good with-
Russia and this and that, all that was going on, na? So
Yes, sir.
that was the biggest fallacy. And
And sir-
Gandhi also knew. See, I'll tell you something else. In 1921, he was having a debate with somebody. He said, I have no better alternative than democracy to offer right now. But I am obviously very clear that I do not want the Russian violent revolution. So all the Marxist revolution is okay, but the
Oh.
violence with it is not okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Violence.
Yeah. So I still wonder, why can't we have some model between Marx and Gandhi? But they will not agree. They
Yes.
want to, I mean, so I'll tell you the difference. Just before Quit India happened on 8th August, Gandhiji had a meeting. It had a lot of peasants, jamidars, everybody. He said, see, this is everybody's country. You live here. Please share your wealth. Because Jawaharlal Nehru is a leftist.
Yes.
If he comes to power, he'll snatch everything. So the whole Marxist ideology was to snatch from rich, give it to poor. It will again create another inequality and anger. Gandhi did a fatal flaw, that he believed in the goodness of human beings. I don't know that is a flaw or a good thing. He said that, okay, you have it, you give. What is the problem? So anyway, I'm not saying Gandhi in toto can be applied today, but Gandhi is something which will keep coming back, because what he was saying makes some sense now. If you read a guy called E.F. Schumacher, who writes a small book called Small is Beautiful, he had these small concerns for environment. वो नीम का दातून करते थे, पेड़ से तोड़ना होता है, तो कोई उनके पास 3-4 ट्यूबवेल है कि नहीं, मुझे एक करना, इतनी क्यों तोड़ रहा है पेड़ से? पेंसिल जब तक दोनों तरफ से खत्म नहीं हो जाती थी, कैलेंडर के पीछे का हिस्सा में ही यूज्ड टू कट एंड मेक नोटबुक्स फॉर चिल्ड्रन. खाली पोस्टकार्ड, कागज, चिट्ठी, सब पे लिखो, वेस्ट मत करो, डोंट टेक. एक जेलर ने कस्तूरबा को एक कॉपी दे दी थी. कस्तूरबा को पढ़ाते रहते थे, पर कस्तूरबा लिख नहीं पाती थी. He said, वापस करो भाई, अब we are poor people, we can't afford a copy. एक बार उनके ग्रैंडसन ने, अरुण गांधी ने, पेंसिल अपनी छुपा दी थी, छोटी सी पेंसिल हो गई और कहा खो गई. तो पूरा आश्रम को ढूंढने में लगा दी गई, ढूंढो. फिर रात में उन्होंने लेक्चर दिया कि बेटा ये ग्रेफाइट जहाँ है, जो मजदूर नीचे काम करते हैं, सांस जिनकी रुकी रहती है, उनकी मेहनत है ना. ये सही है कि उनको इससे पैसा मिलेगा, बट उनकी जिंदगी के बारे में सोचो. अब हम लोग, डू वी थिंक in all our daily life, do we think about the last man?
Yes.
We should. No, I'm not saying it's in tribute to Gandhi or because Gandhi was God. He was not God. He was a human being with his weaknesses. But from each human being, pick up what is important. See, remember one thing. Actuality and mutuality है ना. अगर मैं बैठ जाऊं टॉप पे और खुश रहूं और बाकी सब प्रजा दुखी हो, तो बेकार है. कब तक खुश रहोगे?
बेकार.
सबको लो, सबको साथ लो, सबको साथ लेके चलना. आई थिंक जब ऐसे करो तो लोग कहने लगते हैं कि आप सेकुलर, सोशलिस्ट, लेफ्टिस्ट, ये सब बेकार की बातें हैं. These are all artificial divisions. Because all these divisions happen in the sense of imagination and politics and this and that, policy and all. But as human beings, we are all genetically linked. We are all socially linked. We are culturally linked. So there is no fight anywhere. Fighting gives you a sense of, I'm good, bad, and this and that. Excess of everything is harmful. Is it same with the? Yes, absolutely. So Gandhiji, he didn't say be non-violent in every condition. If you read carefully, he said it's better to be violent rather than be a coward.
Yes.
अगर तो गुस्सा आ रहा हो तो कर लो गुस्सा. His non-violence was if it comes from within. That is why when he talks of satyagraha, he said don't jump into satyagraha. First, it's a discipline, it's a science of satyagraha. You should be first ready about it. And it took him a lot of time. Actually, when people were being beaten up during the time of Dandi March in Dharsana factory, That was the time when the nail in the coffin of British got in. Because people were beaten up, nobody raised even a finger. It was the guy called Webb Miller who wrote it to US, to a US paper. This was remarkable. And that is the time when US started intervening with Britishers that now you should free India. You can't go on. And in fact, in 1942, when he was arrested before Quit India, the British secret agency and some other people were wanting to kill Gandhi. He said, you put him in the jail, finish him. But they were advised that do not do this. Do not do this. Not because Gandhi was popular or anything. Because it was US also had put its foot in. Gandhi is a very revered figure in US. Sometimes you should find there's a book called Portrait of Gandhi. It has all essays by American writers written around the time of independence. Right?
Yes.
And you should see what they were thinking. The people whom I have met who had lived with Gandhi 100 years, 90 years of age, still if you ask them, they still thought that they were living with a god. People used to come, they had 25 paisa in their whole lifetime and they would give it to Gandhi. Gandhi would stop a train and say, we have to collect money for poor fund, 17 lakh rupees in Allahabad in 2 hours. And he used to, train would not move unless he had recorded every penny of it. Obviously, this man, see, there's something else what I would ask you. Do you know Gandhi's house? The name of the house? You know Ambani's house?
शायद मुंबई में है.
हाँ मुंबई में है ना. शाहरुख का घर पता है ना.
Yes.
बच्चन साहब का घर पता है ना.
Yes.
अमिताभ बच्चन का घर भी पता है आपको. शाहरुख का भी पता है. गांधी जी का कहाँ पे घर था? क्या नाम था उसका?
सर आश्रम था उनका.
वो उनका कुछ नहीं था. उनका कुछ नहीं था.
सर वो तो जमीन में बैठने वाला.
हाँ तो बेटा एक बात बताओ, जिस देश में करप्शन को हम लोग इतना प्रॉब्लम कहते हैं, लोग मुझसे कहते हैं गांधी ने अपने बच्चों के लिए कुछ नहीं किया. अरे अगर वो कर देते, किसी को गवर्नर बना देते, किसी को सीएम बनवा देते, तो आप लोग तब भी गाली देते उनको.
Yes.
उन्होंने तो अपने किसी बच्चे के लिए कुछ नहीं किया. और जो लोग फेमिनिस्ट आ जाते हैं कि कस्तूरबा का से, कस्तूरबा ने एक बड़ा अच्छा जवाब दिया था. उन्होंने कहा था कि गांधी दिन भर भटकता रहता है इधर उधर गरीबों के लिए. तो जब ये आते हैं तो थोड़ा, मैं उस समय की वाइफ से मैं थोड़ा पैर धो देती हूँ. दैट इज द ओनली टाइम आई कैन हैव कॉन्टैक्ट विद हिम. He said the way Gandhi has served me in South Africa, there were no photographers to look at that.
Yes.
Feminists don't want to listen to this. See, problem ये कि if you do a top-down thinking, if you decide कि इस आदमी को हमें insult करना है, ठीक, you will get 1,000 ways.
Yes. Sir.
But if you do a bottom-up thing, then maybe you will not be able to do it. So I'm not saying Gandhi was totally right. There were mistakes, but there were crazy things which he did. Obviously, crazy people become Gandhi. We 9 to 5 people don't become Gandhi. We can. But when we do crazy thing, one or the other thing will happen. Like his sexuality was his personal quirk. But अब ठीक है, एक गड़बड़ तो अलाउड है सबको. तो लोगों को 100 गड़बड़ अलाउड होती है, वो एक चीज ठीक करते हैं और अखबार में फोटो छापते हैं. तो गांधी को एक तो गलत कह दो, 99 देख लो ना यार उसका. और आफ्टर लोग क्या कह रहे थे, भाई प्यार करो यार, प्यार से रह लो सब लोग. और गांधी कहते थे ऑटोनोमस रहो. और ऑटोनोमस रहने का मतलब सबको फ्रीडम होना चाहिए. अब आप कहेंगे फ्रीडम नहीं होना चाहिए, जो हम कहेंगे वो करो, तो वो गड़बड़ है. What is the question? My question asks for a solution to probably one of the biggest mistakes put into Gandhi ji elected Nehru government. Permanent. Gandhi ji was not there when UNSC seat given to China. Why bring Gandhi ji in? All ills of this country are by Nehru and Gandhi only. Eh?
No, sir. Probably we spoke about the thread that connected the entire country, which is non-violence, right? Starting from 1857 peasant movement to the Jallianwala Bagh, the Bose movement, and everything could be connected only because of Gandhiji. There was one
post 1915. Post 1915. Yes.
There was only one small little error. Because the choice was to be made between Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel ji and Nehru ji, and Gandhi ji knew that
Can I correct history a little bit?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Sardar Patel or Gandhi ji were like brothers. Okay. And when Patel used to go to ashram, Gandhi ji used to stop all work and get in service of Patel. When Gandhi ji was in Aga Khan Palace, Patel, after Kasturba died, Patel goes and says, transfer me, उनके गांधी की सेवा कौन करेगा? उनका आपसी रिश्ता was very very close. Like बोस और गांधी का बड़ा अच्छा रिश्ता था. पर हर घर में each father can have two sons and one of the son can get angry and leave the house. It happens in every household. Bose was this. People don't know. You should read a book by Rudrangshu Mukherjee. When Bose used to fall ill, the first person he used to write letter was to Jawahar. Jawahar and Bose, though both were leftist. Gandhi and Patel had a fear, and Gandhi and Patel were same age, isn't it? Patel died 2 years after Gandhi. Now, keep three things in mind. Think over. India was a free country. It needed a young prime minister. A prime minister dying too soon would not have been good for this country, number one. Number two, Patel was a solid man who could control things like this. But a country just does not need controlling. It also needs international presence. It also needs the glamour. It also needs marketing. Who better than Nehru was there at that time? If you see pictures, Nehru in his abroad trips, whom was he interacting with? Albert Einstein, Charlie Chaplin. Nehru's international presence, he was a charmer. You need such people. You also need dreamers. The place where you're sitting, IIT, is a dream of Mr. Jawaharlal Nehru. One second, let me complete. BHEL, all the public enterprises which have really saved this country from going into economic recession. Now, there was a fear at that time, both in Patel's mind and both in Gandhi's mind. The fear was, I agree it could have been a mistake, but given these factors, where Nehru was his left hand and Patel was his right hand, the fear both Patel and Gandhi had probably, that if we do not give this seat to Nehru, if we do not, Nehru will shift towards left. And that was the last thing Gandhi wanted. Like Patel, Gandhi, both, see, they had to carry the whole country. They did not want to shift it to the extreme left or extreme right. And that is the reason. But I agree, because we do not have any record of what Patel and Gandhi would have decided amongst themselves. 50% probability Gandhi did, 50% probability they both would have decided one night before कि भैया कल ये आएगा तुम वापस ले लेना अपना नाम. क्या पता. मेरा कहने का, आप हिस्ट्री पे दो तरीके से देख सकते हैं. आप हिस्ट्री से सीख सकते हैं. You can go back to history and learn, or criticize people. By criticizing them, you can only pump your egos. But the fact of the matter is, sitting in 2023, whether it was a mistake, but Nehru was a prime minister for 17 years, India has progressed. You wouldn't be having a policy conclave 23 from IIT Kanpur. And 5 IITs have really rocked the world. Please understand this. So look at what positives we have gained. And who knows, if Patel would have been a prime minister, what would have happened? Is there a theory to it? We don't know. We don't know algorithms of it. Or abhi we are living in 2023. Maybe 100 years later, something else will happen. Then who will come back and say this was good or bad or right or wrong? Otherwise, why do you learn from Buddha? Buddha left home. Why do you want to worship Krishna? He got Mahabharata done. See, understand, look at it this way. Lord Rama, in his own life, can you imagine his suffering? He had to leave home, walk, and all the troubles he had to undergo. Whatever you do for him now, you make a temple or bloody do whatever. Society made him do all this. Isn't it? What can you learn? You learn whatever you have to from Rama. What can you go back and do that? You can't go back and do it. So you try to understand the way we people have to learn to look at things differently. Don't get caught into all this. Okay, look at the love of Gandhi and Patel. Can you love your friend like this? Can you? Can you love like Bose and Nehru? Once you are able to do that, only then question. Anybody, this is an open challenge to anybody. When people say this was this was that, I said, boss, hello. Had Nehru been not a politician, he would have still won a Nobel Prize, but for discovery of Indian glimpses of world history. For me, if Einstein decided to spend time with Nehru, for me already that person is in a radar. Huh? Einstein wouldn't talk to anybody. Huh? He would talk to you and me. You will not understand half sentences of his. I'm not saying everything was right. There's nothing, everything right with anybody. We have to be sensible to look at the whole perspective. And we have to do it, because if we don't, then nothing will happen. This misery will see. And don't also, you kids should understand, अगर सब कुछ ठीक था दुनिया में, तो महाभारत कहाँ से हो रही थी? और बुद्ध किसको बता रहे थे कि तुम लोग ठीक हो जाओ? कौन लोग थे? हेल्दी लोग थे। हेल्दी लोगों को क्या जरूरत थी सब करने की? So obviously there were problems even then. The human beings will have problems. So that's all right. It's all right for time pass, mistake, this, that, whatever. But I mean, they decided at that point of time. They couldn't have thought that some idiots like me will be speaking on this. So Dr. Vajpayee will speak. So let us not make Nehru the Prime Minister. Let us make Sardar Patel, so that he doesn't answer this question to anybody. Yeah. Who knows future? So let us respect them. Let us respect. And if you want a proof of it, read a letter which Patel wrote on Nehru's birthday. Patel writes, very few people know what sacrifices Jawahar has made. Patel or Sardar. Within our families also, sometimes the father has to sit to bring in two brothers together. So it's all human. At least we should be loving enough to give them the leeway of human beings. Right, wrong, politics, good, bad, all things happen. Okay, it may have been a mistake, but I still feel there was a thought behind it. Maybe the thought would not work, but then, do you know neuroscience? Our brain decides on a probability called Bayesian probabilities. Right? You take a decision amongst 10 probabilities. There is no way of knowing whether the decision will turn out right or wrong. Only future will tell us. You take a decision given the circumstances and probabilities, and then you take a decision. This is maybe right, wrong, good, bad, whatever. So everybody takes decision the way it is. All right. So I will end it here. If you have any one or two questions, we can take it. Otherwise, just read, get hold of this book. You will get a PDF somewhere, and go through it, and we can have another session someday on Gandhi. Not Gandhi. For me, I love Patel, Bose, everybody. I love people because they did whatever best they could in their circumstances. Bhagat Singh did whatever best he could. And people say, Bhagat Singh, what is the problem with this country here? Bhagat Singh was a non-violent man. Bhagat Singh wrote a book. He was an atheist. He was a Marxist. He did 4 months of single fast protest in the jail. This was a Gandhian tool. And imagine, look, people say Gandhi ji ne bachaya nahi. अरे गांधी जी भगत सिंह को बचा लेते तो भगत सिंह शर्म से मर जाते. जो आदमी मरने के लिए निकला था, है ना? Bhagat Singh would have ran away in the pandemonium which followed the bomb throwing. He didn't. He was there. He was there to awaken the people. His job was to awaken the people. And Gandhiji wrote hundreds of letters to Lord Irwin to leave Bhagat Singh, not leave. Said, don't give him capital punishment, put him in the jail. Lord Irwin said, I don't want any interference of politics in judiciary. Nobody will tell you this history. These are all records. So, but Bhagat Singh could have got ashamed by being saved. I think he was too strong a man. So people decide. So think. Don't believe. Go back, read history. Check out what actually was happening. Problem is we read interpretations of interpretations. My contention is cut the interpretation, read what is there. Okay. And you have everything available. So, and let me tell you something else. Nehru, as soon as he became a prime minister, the first thing he did is contacted Subhash Chandra Bose's family in Germany. And he said, we can put a scholarship for you or financial support, whatever you want. They said, no, Nehru arranged for it so that they keep getting it through via media. They were the best of the friends. He didn't leave Gandhi, he left it. It's just that. And I'm not telling you a fantasy story out of my head. It's all there. It's just that I look at it differently. You also look at it differently. Okay? Anything else? Now somebody was asking something. Let me read. What? How can we make our mind? Oh, yes. Making your mind in present is very beneficial because that is the only truth. The problem with mind's process is that all the time it's a past memory, which is conditioning, which is called samskara, Indian knowledge systems, that you act, you decide, there's a feedback from the environment, then you get it back, and then all the mind is conditioning right from the beginning you started breathing. All the 18, 19 years of knowledge, information, religion, education. So we half the time when information goes in from your senses, your memory and emotion lays it. By the time it comes to your conscious mind in 500 milliseconds, it past is already taken over. Now this is a training which one has to do. The same training with Buddha did, which Gandhi did. One step here. Only then you could. So when we are looking at things, we are not looking at objectively. We think we are rational, but all our thought is covered by emotions. And one of the names of Buddha was Tathagat. Tathagat simply means seeing things as it is. But it may require one lifetime to train yourself. Because then you have to drop all prejudices, all greed, all lust, all jealousy, all me and you and this and that, 24/7. And that is why I say Gandhi was a master, because 24/7 he could work. People who knew Gandhi say that even if you insult him, his mind will shake like this. Our shakes like this. If we get upset, Gandhi would this. You would not even know. That is how they train their minds. And that was the calm which they achieved. It requires a lifetime. But nevertheless, it can be done. Being present allows you to see things objectively without getting prejudiced and emotional and all that. All right, shall we end? It was a small session, but I hope it will trigger some thoughts.
Yes, sir.
You can always have another one away from this, and you can always please share my number so all of us can have a chat.
Yes. So thanks a
Okay.
lot, sir, for
Yeah,
your
thank-
valuable words. It
Thank you
has
very
been a
much.
very inspiring session for us, and we are extremely grateful to you to come and enlighten us on such a short notice.
कोई बात नहीं मेरे भाई, तुम ही
It
लोग
has
भी
been
हो।
very encouraging and inspiring for us. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Recording भेज देना यार please.
Yes, sir. Sure.
ठीक है, thank you, bye bye.